Inside episode 23 on Outsourcing Live, I go into detail about the video equipment I use to create professional videos, from video cameras to memory cards. It's really jam-packed with the good stuff inside this podcast. And also, inside the quick tip, I'll share with you an excellent WordPress theme that is perfect to use with Google. It's time to roll it.
Welcome to the Outsourcing Live podcast, where you will learn to build a virtual team to run your business. And now, your host, Tyrone Shum.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the next podcast here. In today's podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you the video equipment and tools that you need to create professional videos. And in the last few weeks, I've been really exploring and putting together a lot of videos which I talk about how to outsource. And the key components that I've noticed lately, just on the questions that you've been asking as listeners and viewers, which I really thank you for, have been pretty much been put together on the website. And a lot of people have been wanting to know exactly the whole package, like what kind of equipment, what kind of tools that you need. And I've been going through it pretty much in little bits and pieces, bite-sized chunks where you can just look at one little piece, which is like 2 or 3 minutes video, and that gives you the tools and equipment that you need. But what I want to do in this particular podcast here today is to outline everything that you'll need in terms of video equipment and tools, and just consolidate it and put it all together here. And I'll make sure that I'll put all the links anyway inside the actual post of Outsourcing Live, so that way you can jump over and get access to it, because I will talk about quite a number of equipment or tools that you can use to create really professional videos. All right, let's jump straight into it. I want to talk firstly what essential things you'll need to be able to have your videos uploaded onto the internet, because when you're starting to outsource videos, the key component is to make sure that you do have a good computer, a solid computer that can handle these videos and upload it. And usually people go for either a PC or Mac. I don't really know anyone out there who uses Linux or any of those really hardcore type of computers or operating systems, but more than likely, most people use either Windows or the Mac environment. And as long as you've got a relatively new PC within the last 2 or 3 years, it's sufficient enough, or a Mac. Personally, I'm using the MacBook Pro, which is a laptop, and it's a very powerful computer, which allows me to be able to download and upload videos quite easily via the computer to the internet. And the way I've got it set up is I've got only just this one MacBook Pro, which allows me to plug it into like a 22-inch flat screen monitor, which is a Samsung flat screen monitor. And that allows me for dual screen. So that way, while I'm doing some other work on my main screen, my other screen is doing its uploading up to the internet. And that's pretty easy to set up anyway. And the other reason why I've been using a laptop, which I decided over against a desktop, which I did before, have many years back, I haven't actually had a desktop for probably about 5 or 6 years now, is because of its mobility. I'm able to go anywhere I want with a laptop, unplug it, go straight off to set up other things, plug in video straight away, and be up and running to do whatever I need to do. So that's the really amazing thing about having a laptop. And if you're considering getting a new computer, that will probably be a suggestion rather than getting a desktop computer. All right, so that's the first thing. Computers are very essential, and that's just basically a minimum requirement that you need. The second thing is a fast internet connection. That's definitely a plus that you do need, because the fact is that once you've got the videos that you need to upload to your video editor, you've got to get them sent over somewhere or another. You can either send them via hard drives and get them over there to them, but they'll take a while. Whereas if you've got a strong and fast interconnection, you can pretty much upload these videos quite quickly and get them to edit it remotely. So that's a very important thing. And depending on which country you're in, whether the States, Europe, or any other countries, hopefully you can get a good connection with a good upload speed. I'm in Australia. I've got a reasonable good download speed and okay upload speed. Not the fastest, but sufficient enough. All right, so those are the 2 key requirements that you do need in order to make this work. The next thing I want to talk about is the video equipment, the actual physical video equipment setup, like including video cameras, microphones, light boxes, tripods, etc. And I'll go through that actually step by step right now to provide you what you really do need. And these are the things that I've just bought over a period of time. You can get them all at once, but obviously, depending on what your budget is, you can obviously buy these things a little bit over a period of time. And for me, I have gradually changed over the equipment over time. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to just buy everything all in one go, but you do need some of these basic essentials, which I'm going to outline. So the biggest, most important thing is the video camera. That's something that you definitely need in order to make videos work. Because otherwise, if you don't have a video camera, it's going to be very hard for you to be able to create any videos. And yes, you could probably get away with using a computer and using basic PowerPoint presentations and also using your webcam. But that's something that is a little bit different to the kind of videos I'm talking about. I'm talking about building a relationship face-to-face on camera with people and to actually show and demonstrate what you're currently doing. And that's a little bit more personable, and building up rapport is a lot easier. If you went and did a slideshow presentation, it's great. You can put a picture of yourself there and people can see that, but it doesn't beat if you sit in front of a camera and actually show yourself like I do on Outsourcing Live. And I know that there's been times, a lot of questions when people have asked me about having the fear of sitting in front of a camera and sharing your knowledge and talking about it. I totally understand. That is something that is not the easiest for a lot of people, and that just takes practice. And I actually do have a particular video which I talk about that on Outsourcing Live. So if you do want to find out how to overcome the fear of being in front of a camera, just hop over to Outsourcing Live on this episode, which is episode 23. And you'll be able to find the link down below to that particular video. So I'll make sure I put it down there. All right, so getting back to it, video camera is very, very important. And let me share with you the 2 video cameras that I highly recommend to use. When I first initially started and I first created my videos for Outsourcing Live and also down at my own blog at tyronchum.com, I started off with the Kodak ZI8 camera, which is a very, very popular camera. Most people usually start off with that one when they're looking to create high definition videos. And the main reason why I recommend this one over a lot of other cameras like the Flip Mino and also there's a lot of like Sony small cameras that are handy cams and so forth, is because the Kodak ZI8 is one, very light. It has a microphone external plug, which allows you to plug in an external mic to create that better quality sound. And also 2, it records in high definition. And also, and in addition to that, I want to just add is that it allows you to be able to add your own memory card. So you can pretty much put any memory card in there to be able to store as much space as you want or have as much space as you want. And that's really important because when you are recording numerous videos, you don't want to be running out of space halfway through and having to plug in a different card or wait for you to download all those videos. And I found that very, very useful because I could record probably about 15 to 20 videos all within the week and have them still stored on that same card. And I'll go into a little bit more detail what memory cards I recommend because I'll talk about that a little bit later on inside this podcast. All right, so that's very, very good. With the Kodak ZI8, that has that flexibility option of basically putting in your own memory card. It records in high definition format, and also too allows you to plug in an external mic. And that's pretty much the main reasons and the benefits of why I also recommend the Kodak ZI8. Now, the other things that you probably don't know about the Kodak ZI8, perhaps if you haven't used it, is it allows you to be able to get a separate remote to be able to click from a distance and start recording. That's a really good thing. And the second thing that is really good about this is that it allows you to plug in an external power source to be able to continue to run that camera just in case you run out of battery. Even though it has a rechargeable battery, you can plug in an external power source to be able to run it, and it allows you to be able to just record seminars and stuff like that for hours on end as long as you've got a power source to plug it into directly. So that's pretty much the basic camera that I recommend if you're starting out. I used that for probably a good, probably 12 months before I decided to upgrade to the next camera. And that depends on your budget. Like I picked up the Kodak ZI8 from eBay for around about $100 to $150. So there's plenty of them out there. But if you want to get it brand new, you can purchase it from Amazon. I'll put a link, make sure that I put a link down there so you know where to get it. So it's the Kodak ZI8. Now, over the last few months, as I've increased my videos and also improved my quality of images and video output, I've decided to upgrade to another Canon camera, camera. I'm getting myself tongue twisted again. But Canon is the brand of this camera that I went and purchased. And this was made by recommendation of my good friend, Gideon Shorwick from gideonshorwick.com. He actually uses one of the Canons as well, a little bit more expensive model, but this model that I went and purchased is a really good model for this particular thing. And the reason why I'm going to recommend this particular camera is because it's got a lot of great functionalities and great for video video bloggers like ourselves who do a lot of video recording. And there's a lot of flexibility with this particular type of camera. So the Canon that I'm recommending is the T3i Rebel, the Canon T3i Rebel. It's a camera that I'm using right now, and that's the model that you can purchase if you're in the States. Now, if you're in Australia and any other countries, the Canon that they distribute in Australia, for example, is called the Canon 600D. And I don't know why they call it different names in different countries, but maybe it's just different localities that have different functions for it. But the equivalent of it is the Canon 600D in Australia. Now, if you want to get the other version, which is, I think, the Japanese version, and if you're from Japan, that's great, because I know a lot of listeners come from all over the world. It's the KISS X3, I think it is. So you can check that all out. But what I'll do is I'll make sure I put a link directly to all those, so that way you don't get mixed up. So that's the Canon. That's the Canon T3i Rebel, and that's currently the camera that I'm currently using to record all the videos that you see on my on my blog. And man, I've just got a lot of comments saying how good quality it looks so professional, and it just really stands out from the rest of the crowd. And if you do want to get that kind of look, and especially if you're running a business and needing to coach people and train people via video, then definitely consider purchasing that. Now, I was going to talk about the benefits of this, and the reason why I upgraded to this particular camera is, well, for the first thing, I love it because it has a flip screen that you can open up and watch yourself. With the Kodak ZI-8, unfortunately, unless you have a mirror that's reflective from the back of the camera, you can't actually see yourself and you don't know where to position yourself. So the Canon T3i has that little flip screen which allows you to turn it around and face it towards you. So that way, when you're sitting in front of the camera, you know exactly where you're sitting and how your positioning is, and you don't have to adjust it and spend more time getting the right positioning. So that's one of the biggest advantage I found as well. Second thing is that it does record in high definition quality. It actually records in even higher than that. It records in true HD, which is 1920 or something like that. It's a really, really high quality. But in my opinion, I only record in high definition, which is already good enough anyway. I don't want to be too good in front of the camera because otherwise you'll start seeing my wrinkles and my facials and everything. So that's something that I've been looking at, but that's not the real reason. The real reason is because the high definition is sufficient enough for YouTube. And that's what most people watch it in, and it's enough. Once you get past that, the video sizes get even larger, and it becomes really, really a challenge to be able to get them overseas to your video editor or outsource it over to people who are locally. All right, so that's the second thing. Third thing that I love about this Canon is because it has external mic. Just like any other cameras I recommend, make sure you go for external microphone plug jack that's inside the camera. And the reason why is because the quality of the sound makes a huge difference. Even if you've got a choppy video that doesn't look all the best, not good lighting, like poor lighting and not very good imagery, the quality of your sound can make the difference. And I really have heard and seen differences between videos with good quality sound and really poor quality sound. And I actually created a particular video on the microphone to recommend to use with this, which I'll talk about shortly. But inside that particular video, when you do hop into this video to have a look, I actually disconnected my microphone and started just recording it without the mic. And you could definitely hear the biggest quality difference is that it sounds like as though you're in a big, big echo room and your voice just gets buffered out or really silenced out, and you sound like as if you're talking in the big church that's echoing back and forth. As soon as I plug the mic back in, you'll definitely be able to hear the good quality sound. And that goes for most things like podcasting and video and anything like that. If you have good quality sound, it can make your videos or your audio sound so much better and look so much more professional. So definitely make sure that you do consider that for any video equipment if you don't decide to buy the Canon T3i. All right, that's the second thing. Now, the third thing I just want to mention as well is what I love about it is its flexibility to be able to change the quality of the lens. Being an SLR camera, you're able to plug in different lenses to match whatever scenery or match whatever environment you want to be. And what I mean by lens is how your quality of your video comes out. You can get a normal lens which records you in high definition, and you can have just a normal plain effect. But if you want to have a nice blurry effect where those TV shows or those TV places have your background blurred but the focus is on you, and you still get nice quality footage that comes out, then you'll need to change the lens to be able to achieve that. Other people might want to also change and try like an old-fashioned style effect, or maybe a rustic type of look. And you can do that with different lenses as well and different settings on your camera. So that's really something that's powerful, because you can create videos that stand out and look completely different to what the market currently has. And being an SLR camera as well, it's not necessarily just for video recording. You can use it to take some amazing photos, which I've been doing lately. So I have that dual flexibility, and nowadays I don't even bother taking out a smaller camera or one of those handheld cameras. I just always take my SLR camera out. If I want to record video or capture images, I do exactly everything on that camera, and it's beautiful. So that's the camera there. And I've gone into quite a lot of detail about that, but I just recommend check it out. If you've never got a video camera, or you don't have a good video camera and you're still tossing out which one's a good one, I highly recommend either one of those two. And if you're starting on a budget, the Kodak ZI is more than sufficient enough. And that's how I started. So that's definitely something to check out. And yeah, I can't really quite keep talking more about it, because I want to share with you the other things that are very, very important as well. But I'll make sure I put those links down on the bottom of this podcast post back on outsourcinglive.com. All right, so the next thing I want to share with you that's very, very important is to make sure that you buy a lapel microphone to plug into your video camera. The lapel microphone is very, very powerful, because you can easily clip it onto your shirt, you can put it down on a table, and you can capture all that really good quality sound. Right now, I'm using a professional microphone, as you probably may or may not be aware. I'm not actually using a lapel mic or anything like that. But by having this particular equipment, can record your sound at really professional quality. It doesn't have to cost you much at all. Like, I picked up my lapel microphone from the local Dick Smith store, which is a technology store here in Australia, for around $30. So for $30, you can plug in a direct microphone into your video equipment. And if you're going to produce these professional video qualities, you definitely need a lapel microphone. And I know that this particular brand that I've recommended in the past, which is the Yoga, spelt YOGA microphone, lapel microphone, should be available at Dick Smith. I'm not 100% sure if it's still available at the time of this recording, but if that's not available and you're not living in Australia, you can purchase it from Amazon. You can purchase the Audio Technica, which is the lapel microphone there. And that's just pretty much the same, just a different brand name. And I'll make sure I put a link down below. I don't know the exact model, but I'll make sure I have an exact link to that model for you. But I highly recommend a lapel microphone. And most of those come with a switch on and off. So you can switch it on to record, and it'll pick up a very, very good quality of sound. And the reason why it's got a switch is because it runs off a little like watch battery in there, and that watch battery actually enhances the quality, or enhances your voice, so that it picks up at a very, very good quality. So that's really the lapel microphone. You can really get away, actually, if you wanted to plug in like a condenser mic, a normal condenser mic, into your laptop to record, like what I'm doing with the Rode Podcaster, and have the camera facing you while you're recording. You could probably go do it that way, but it's a little bit more extra work. And by doing that, I think you'll probably spend more time trying to edit it, like in post-production, than getting it recorded at the same time. And that's the reason why I've switched over to the Kodak ZI, because I previously was also using the Flip Mino, and unfortunately that didn't have an external mic. So I had to actually purchase a separate MP3 player, which I plugged into a lapel mic, and then I recorded the video at the same time, and then at the end we had to sync it together. Anyway, you don't want to do that, but I just thought I'd share that with you on how I've been doing in the past with regards to that. So definitely try to get a lapel microphone. They're not that expensive to plug in. I know that a few people have asked me about getting wireless mics as well, and yes, you definitely can do it, but it's a little bit more expensive. And if you can afford it and the budget's within your reach, go ahead and get a really nice wireless mic, and it will make a difference, because then you can take it outdoors and set up anywhere else. I know for a fact though, you'd be looking at spending between $250 to about $300 for a good wireless mic and up. You know, for a basic one is about that. So depending on what your budget is. All right, so I've covered the really two key components of video cameras and lapel microphones. Those things are very, very important in order to be able to get you professional equipment or professional videos created with that kind of equipment. And if that's all you had, that's sufficient enough. You can use natural lighting to be able to create good videos, and also use the right places to be able to get into those videos, so that way people can see what you're doing. Now, what I also do recommend, if you're indoors most of the time and creating videos in front of, say, a wall or your computer, then I would definitely recommend to try and get yourself a light box. And that's something that I'm recommending as part of your toolkit, because it is something that will definitely help you with creating some really good quality videos. Because the last thing you want to do is sit in front of a camera and you look dark as anything, and people can't see you, but you can hear you really good. So a simple light box, a white light box, which runs off these fluorescent light, these energy efficient fluorescent lights. Some of them come actually with about 5 or 6 of them, and they're not actually surprisingly that hot. I used to use those hardware halogen lights, which was really hot, and it was this warm yellow light, and after about 5 minutes or so I'd be standing there sweating. But these light boxes are actually very good. They're white, they're fluorescent, they're energy efficient, and they don't produce much heat, but they do give you very, very good quality lighting. So you definitely need to consider getting something like that. And a white light box, which I'll definitely put the link to it for you, is just a very simple box that just sits there with many fluorescent lights in there. And it'll have just like a white little cover and reflects out all the lighting, and will light up your face and wherever you are. And really, it's not that hard to set up. All you have to do is pretty much put it just behind the camera or next to the camera, and have that light shining on your face and your body, so it lights up your face. So when you're recording, you'll be able to see yourself clearly in front of the camera. And you'll notice the biggest difference once you do that, because previously when I started trying to record without lighting, it made a huge difference to the quality of the video. People could actually see me clearly, and by putting a new lighting on, people could actually see what I'm doing and expressing to them. So that's something that you need to do. Now, if you can't afford to get a white light box, when I first started, I didn't want to spend that money. So I just basically did a DIY self light globe that I purchased from IKEA for around about $40 or so, like those light stands, and that's sufficient enough. Like the light box would probably set you back between $150 to $200, which is pretty good for a good light box. But if you can't afford it, then for the basic budget, just a light lamp that you can purchase from IKEA, and you just put in one of those fluorescent lights. For me, I've actually been using a 50-watt fluorescent light, which is a white one, and that's equivalent to about 200 watts. So it's pretty bright as it is. And I've actually got a video on showing you how I set that up and use that basic version. So you can check that out on Outsourcing Live as well. So that's the light box. Very crucial, important. But if you don't want to use it and you want to do natural lighting, just make sure that you do go outside and capture the lighting from there. All right, so that's the third component that you do need as video equipment. The next component is a tripod. Now, both of these cameras, both the Kodak ZI-A and the Canon T3i, can possibly sit down on somewhere. Actually, in particular, the Kodak ZI-A, it doesn't have a very good base to be able to sit on. So even if you try to stand it up, it wouldn't stand up very well or properly. So you definitely need to invest into getting a tripod for the Kodak ZI-A. Yes, with the Canon T3i, you could probably get away with it and sit it on top of, say, a table, and it'll be able to capture pretty much your video and also you quite well. But that makes it very challenging, because you'd have to make sure that your table or your placement of where you put the camera is in the right position to be able to capture you correctly. So having a tripod will give you that flexibility to move it literally anywhere you want to go and anywhere you want to sit to do it. So tripod's definitely important. And tripods are not expensive. Like, I purchased my tripod, a solid aluminium standing one, which is probably level 2. And that one there stands up my full height, which I'm about 1.8 meters. And that cost me only about, I think, $50 on eBay. It was less than that, actually, if I remember. And it included shipping as well. So they're really, really inexpensive to purchase. And those tripods all come with like those clips which you can unclip and clip in your video cameras very easily. And by having that, it would make life a lot easier, because if you need to download something immediately onto your computer, you can easily unclip it straight from the tripod and plug it straight into your computer. And very, very easy to do. And just make sure that when you do get a tripod, it allows for the flexibility to be able to move it up and down. So I'll talk a little bit more about the movements of it. You want to make sure it moves up and down, left and right, and around in 360 degrees. So that way you can have that full motion and adjustments. And also make sure that is solid, because in the past, I'll give you an example, is I purchased a pretty light aluminium tripod in the past, which I use it for traveling, and I've actually had that one for almost 15 years. And my wife says to me, man, that's like his third leg or something, in a good way, or third person. And we've been able to take some really amazing photos with that tripod, because when there's no one around to be able to take photos for us or film us or anything like that, I set up my trusty tripod, set it on timer, and we just stand in the picture and capture it, because you can't always get someone who's not around or someone that's walking by to take photos for you. Anyway, getting this particular tripod was great for light traveling and great for using for small little things. But the fact is that it was too light, where we situated ourselves on top of a hill at one stage, and we had this massive wind blowing through. And I thought, yeah, it'd probably survive. But unfortunately, with that massive wind, it blew away the tripod, and my whole camera fell across to the side onto rocks and unfortunately broke. So a little tip there, get something that's a little bit stronger and heavier, particularly if you're going to be using expensive equipment like the Camera T3i. And I wasn't too happy when my previous camera fell down. Luckily, it wasn't too expensive of a camera, but when that does happen, it's really frustrating, because you've got to go and purchase another one. So get something that's going to be solid, and particularly if you're going to use it at home, get a good, solid, heavier tripod, which will be able to counter the weight and keep your camera still. Now, if you are considering getting a tripod that's for multi-purpose use, where you're going to travel, where you're going to put it up in different areas, well, what I would do is make sure that you carry a backpack with you at all times with some weight in it. Put some food, put some water and stuff like that, and then tie that backpack onto the tripod, which I've done on many occasions, because I don't always carry with me the heavier tripod. Sometimes if I'm going trekking up into the mountains and stuff like that, take some beautiful photos and shooting and scenery, I just don't want to carry something that's too heavy. So if you're going to be having water, backpack and so forth, you can easily tie that backpack onto the tripod, if you're using a lighter tripod, I'm saying, and let it sit there. And that should be sufficient enough to keep it grounded on the floor. So that's a little tip there and a little trick on how to maintain or have these tripods. But if you're using it in the rooms or in locations that don't have any wind and don't move around, then that solid tripod that you can get from anywhere is sufficient enough. So definitely a tripod. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is things that will make your life a lot easier as well, which is having a remote control. And both these cameras that I've purchased in the past, both the Kodak ZI and the Canon T3i, both can purchase optional as an accessory a remote control. Like for the Kodak ZI-A, they have a specified Kodak remote control camera, which you can pick up for about $20 or $25 or so. And that was amazing, because I didn't have to jump up, click the button behind the camera to press record, then sit back down. I could just sit down, press the record button anytime I was ready, and start recording right away. And as much as it might not save you that much time, it actually does save you the headache, and also does save you that little extra fraction of time, because at the end of the day, if you want to do rapid video recording, then definitely get a remote control to do that. Now, with the Canon T3i, you can purchase a dedicated Canon remote or specific Canon remote accessory, but I found something on eBay which was just pretty much just a generic version, and it works perfectly. And I'll post that link directly down onto the podcast, so that way you can see exactly what remote I used. And that only cost me I think it was like $6 or something like that. So that was even cheaper than I expected. And that really makes a huge difference, because when you're recording and you're sitting down and you're thinking, okay, I want to record the first recording session for this, I'll click record, get straight into it, instead of having to hop up, change this, do that. And that makes a huge difference. So definitely the remote control is important, and I highly, highly recommend to get that as an additional accessory to part of this pack here. The last thing I want to talk about is a stool or chair. This may not seem the most common sense or the most thing that people would recommend, but I'm recommending it because I use it so often. Yes, I do stand up and I do talk in front of the camera when I do stand up, but I also do have a stool or a specific chair that I sit down. And it makes a difference, because when people see you sit down on a chair, you're a little bit more relaxed. You're talking and sharing as though you're talking to someone else, like a friend. And having a nice comfortable stool, particularly if you're going to be sitting down for doing 3-4 minute video recordings and you're doing a lot of them, then it really makes a difference. So go out there and purchase yourself a good quality stool. And even if you get a good, nice stainless steel stool and you actually record from a longer angle, which means it captures your whole body and the stool, it actually looks pretty good. So I'd recommend, if you're going to do that, then consider getting a good, nice stool, because when you do your recordings, people look at you and go, oh, he's sitting on a stool and it looks really aesthetically pleasing on the eye. And it just makes that slight little difference to make it look really professional. So definitely a stool or a chair. All right, I think I pretty much covered everything that's related to all the video equipment that you need. The next things I actually want to talk about are the memory cards and any additional accessories that are really optional. Actually, I should say that the memory card is definitely not optional. It's a compulsory thing. And that's the reason why I saved it towards here, because it's actually a big component. And the reason why I want to talk about it in more detail right now with you is because the memory card, which is an SD memory card, comes in different versions. I didn't know this until I actually did some research. And nowadays, with a lot of the high definition video recordings, they do require a faster processing speed within the chip of the memory card. Yes, it's a memory chip, which I didn't realize until I started asking around, going to stores and finding out. Because when I first started, I went and bought the cheapest memory card with the biggest capacity possible. And I didn't realize that when I plugged it in, it didn't keep recording the videos or capture my videos at the speed it's supposed to be, particularly when it's recording like 300 megabytes per minute. I know, it's pretty big, isn't it? And that's how we get these high definition quality videos. So what you want to make sure is that when you purchase your memory card, particularly for either the Kodak ZI-8 or the Canon T3i, that it's a high speed memory card. Just ask for it in the stores, because the high speed can be determined by different levels, and the levels keep changing. Like I think the last one I purchased was a level 10 or something like that, and it keeps going up in different levels, which means that it keeps going up in high speed recording. So make sure that you do find that out before you do purchase a SD memory card. Now, the size that I recommend is at least a minimum of a 32 gigabyte. I purchased originally a 4 gigabyte SD card, and that was sufficient enough just to record one video, but you don't want to be recording like one video, change it, download, recording another one, and keep doing that. You just waste too much time doing it. So best to go and spend a little bit of money to get yourself a good quality 32 gigabyte SD memory card for these video cameras. Like something like that, I think set me back around about $60 to $70. It's not much, but it really does come back down to how much you can afford and so forth as well. So I thought I'd just let you know how important that is, and just make sure, as I said, to get a high speed memory card. All right, as I said, that's pretty much covered all the video equipment, and I want to go through and give you just some extra accessories that you can have to make your video equipment or your whole video setup even just that little bit more professional. And you can really see the difference slightly, but at the end of the day, in the long term of things, it just makes your life so much easier as well, because once you've got them, you'll never have to really purchase them again. Just as I said, 12 months I've had the Kodak ZI-8, and I've been recording using the same camera for a very long time. I haven't even upgraded any of the equipment unless I wanted to. And my choice with upgrading to the Canon T3i was an option that I wanted to do. And from now, I don't think I'll be even looking to even upgrade to the next camera version unless that breaks. So touch wood. Yeah. All right, let's have a look at some of the accessories. And I'm going to specify basically starting with the Canon T3i Rebel. If you have the Kodak ZI, this will definitely not apply to you. But if you've got an SLR camera like the Canon T3i Rebel that I recommend, I'm going to talk specifically about the lens, because this particular question has been asked many times. And yes, Owen, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to answer it for you, just to be specific, and also for the other listeners and the people who've asked me this question, I just want to answer it here so that way you know exactly what to do. All right, I wish I actually knew about this when I first started, because I had no idea. I didn't realize in order to be able to create a special blurry background effect, or create that nice little effect in the background where you still see what's there but not exactly all that clear, which is something to do with the aperture, which is another term to describe how deep your video is. I think I'm getting a bit too technical, but simplistically, you know how some videos you sit there and you go, wow, they've got that person so sharp and so clear and it's focused on them, and the background is sort of blurred out. Hopefully you understand what I mean. If not, hop onto my blog and you'll see a lot of my videos. Actually, all the recent ones, you've got that kind of effect all set up. So you can check that out there. Anyway, to set that kind of thing up, you really do need to purchase a lens. And I've purchased a fixed lens to be able to do that. And the fixed lens that can achieve this is a Canon 50mm f1.8. That's the exact one that I've got. Now I'll give you just the little bit more specs why I'm recommending a fixed lens. Now for all the people who don't know about this or the technical side of things, I'll explain it to you. The fixed lens is something that is just a lens that doesn't allow you for zoom in, zoom out. It just only allows for one angle and that's it. And you do have to move your camera to get the right angle. But it's really good because the fact is that you don't have any distortion and you won't have any things that move around. So with a fixed lens like this, the Canon 50mm, which is sufficient enough for most people, allows you to do that. Now, f1.8 is the aperture setting. So you need to make sure that you do look out for that because the most standard lenses that you purchase with the Canons are usually with a f3.5 to f5.8, I think it is, if I remember correctly. But those apertures are not sufficient enough to be able to get you that nice blurry effect. Yes, you could probably do it, but you won't notice as much. So the lower that number that goes, so if you go down to 1.8 to 1.4 to 1.2, the more blur you'll get in the background. And that's simplistic terms. If you're going to talk about technical, it's all about the aperture. And I won't go into this podcast because I'm not a details person for video cameras and all that kind of equipment. But essentially, the reason why I purchased the f1.8 over, say, a f1.4 or f1.2 is because of the price. I'll give you an example. The f1.8 I picked up for around about $100 on, actually picked it up about $100 there. And I was looking around thinking, oh, a friend of mine showed me what the 1.8 looks like. And I thought, that's really nice. Only a very, very slight quality of difference. But the price jumps dramatically. Like you'd be looking at about $300 to be able to purchase an f1.4. And if you do have that budget, that's great. But you won't notice all that much slight difference in terms of video quality or even picture quality. So, you know, if I'm to just start out, I'd recommend just getting an f1.8 and that's more than sufficient enough. If you're to go to f1.2, which is even higher, you'd be spending almost $1,000. So just by that small little adjustment in the quality of the aperture or the aperture size can make really your deep pockets, your pocket really go deeper. So you need to just consider where your budget is. But for me, f1.8 is sufficient to create these beautiful videos that I see online, and people have commented and asked me about them all the time. So that's why I thought I'd share that and let you know. So let me recap that one. If you do have a Canon T3i Rebel camera, you need to purchase a fixed lens called the Canon, or could be actually any other lens, it's a Canon that I purchased, a Canon 50mm f1.8, and that allows you to be able to create that nice blurry effect in the background while you're recording your videos. And that works beautifully as well for any type of pictures you want to take and so forth. And once you've got that, it's pretty easy. It's just plug in and snap away. So it's like a plug and play. All right, so that's the additional extras or accessories that I recommend for the Canon camera. Now, for the people who are using the Kodak ZI-8, as I mentioned, it's probably not relevant to you. So I wanted to move on to the next thing, which is to recommend getting either yourself a green screen or a black screen. Either one of those is sufficient. And if you're the type of person who want to change the backgrounds and create something that's going to allow for pop-ups and changes and so forth, then get a green screen. Green screens are really good for that. And in your software, you'll be able to adjust that and remove the backgrounds. And a lot of people who have asked me about that in the past have set that all up as well. And I used to use a lot of green screen to record, but I found that it just took a lot of time for me to be able to edit it and so forth. And I didn't want to give my video editor all that extra work when it's not necessary. So what I do right now, as you probably have noticed, is I usually sit in front of a background, either in my room, in my office, I should say, or out in a setting in the backyard or something like that. And that's just a lot more natural. It's a lot more friendly. It's warmer, and you get a nice effect. Now, you do also see me in front of white screens as well. And you might be thinking, oh, did he use a green screen or did he really use a white screen? Well, I didn't use a green screen, even though I've got a green screen at home. I don't use it at all now because it's just for me to edit and stuff, as I mentioned, takes too long. So what I do is I create a white screen. And the white screen is basically the wall. In actual fact, all our walls are actually cream color. And you might be wondering, how the heck did you get it from cream to white? Now, the key component is actually using good lighting. It's not about the color of your wall. It's great that you can have a wall that's close to white, and that's what I have. I have a cream color which is very, very close to white. But what I do is I shine very, very strong white light onto those walls to create that white background effect. And with a camera nowadays, with a simple adjustment in the Canon, you can actually make the walls look whiter and make you look brighter as well. So it's a combination of having a white wall and also a combination of having a good quality video camera, which allows you to make those adjustments. So that's how I do it with a white screen. And pretty much once I've done that, I send it over to my video editor and he'll just do whatever he needs to do. And he'll add all those flying pop-ups and all those special effects and all that kind of stuff. And that's why it makes it look so cool. All right. Now, I recommend also a black screen. If you're going for a little bit different look, then black screen is also pretty cool as well. And the reason why I'm recommending a black screen is because when you're sitting in front of a black screen and you've got you've got your lighting on your face, sometimes you get a shadow on the back of you. But with a black screen, you can't see the shadows at all, and it just focuses the face all on you. And that makes it very, very easy for you to be able to set up your video equipment, set up your lighting equipment, and you won't have to waste a lot of time moving things around. So you can literally do this is sit in front of a black screen, turn on the light on your face, and all that shadow will get blended out in the black background. Whereas if you try it differently onto, say, for example, a white screen, there's a great chance that you'll see your shadow behind you and you'll need to make some adjustments to lighting to remove that shadow. So yeah, that's a little quick tip for you in order if you're wanting to use a black screen. And yeah, how do you get this? Well, a little tip that I got from actually Gideon, I've actually asked a lot of questions in the past for him. This was many, many months ago, probably even more than a year ago now I remember. But I asked him, how did you set up a green screen? How did you set up all this kind of stuff? And he said he didn't actually spend much money. He just went to the local, what was it? I'm just trying to remember. It's a sewing store that we've got here, like, can't remember what it is. It's kind of dropped my mind. But basically, he went to a local store where you could just buy some of the green material, like threading material, not threading, but cloth material. And that cloth material cost like $10 or something like that for a whole 3 meters. So that's what I did. I went to one of my local stores where you can just buy all those long green cloth material or black cloth material. And basically you use that and just poured it up on the wall and let it just drop down, and it worked perfectly. So that's what you could do. Otherwise, if you do want to spend a little bit of money to get a proper green screen, you can purchase it from video equipment suppliers. And usually the green screens do actually come with the white light box or the light boxes if you're going to purchase that. So make sure you get them bundled in when you purchase it, because it will save you a little bit of money as well. All right, I've been talking quite a bit, so I just thought I'd have a sip of water. Now, before we do jump over to other things, so I want to talk a little bit about software. There's one last thing I just want to recommend as well as part of an accessory that you could have. I personally don't have it at all. I used to, but I don't use it anymore because I've had a lot of practice. I don't need this anymore. But you could get yourself a teleprompter. A teleprompter is where you have a little device sitting in front of you, and it literally prints out all the words that you need to read. And you just read it like as though you're reading text. And that's really powerful when you're looking to do something that's going to be professional and you don't want to be having ums and ahs and all those kind of things that go in there. And also too, it helps if you don't want to lose your form or structure. But after a while, if you're already become confident and you've become good at talking in front of a camera and you know exactly what you want to talk about, then, well, you don't need to use a teleprompter. And that's how I found. I personally did use the teleprompter. Not a professional one, just a simple one that I set up using my MacBook Pro. What I did was I had a software which was downloaded from the iStore, the iPhone store, yep. And that was installed onto my laptop, and whenever it basically went for play, I had my remote and I just watched the text fly up and so forth. For me, it was a little bit distracting and it was a little bit uneasy for me because I kept losing track of what I was going to say. So after reading that teleprompter, I just decided I'm just going to be normal and natural and just talk in front of the camera. So you can use that if you're going to be doing some kind of sales presentation, or you really are not comfortable with the camera, and that's great for that. So that's why I recommend, if you're starting out, maybe a teleprompter would help you. Otherwise, just put some notes, like what I do. You'll probably notice a lot of times I pull out my trusty notebook and I even show you, and I say, I've written some points and I want to share this with you. And I just go through those points and just talk about from my experience. And that's what I'm doing exactly right now in this podcast. I actually have a 1-page list of all the components that I wanted to share with you, and I just start talking a little bit more about it. So if you're comfortable to do that, then teleprompter might not be for you. So that's something that I just wanted to recommend for people who are just starting out or who want to do something that's a little bit more professional and needs to have those exact words without having to remember them. All right, so I've gone through most of the key components and I've talked about the essentials and the requirements that you need, so from computers to video equipment to lapel mics to light boxes, tripods, etc. And I've also talked about some additional optional extras, which is basically like a fixed lens for your camera, the green screen, and also the teleprompter. I wanted to actually share with you specifically some of the tools, e.g. software, that you do need in order to be able to upload all these things and convert them into the right format. But I think I'm going to leave it for another podcast because I've gone almost for 40 minutes here. And the thing is that this next particular topic or this particular software is quite in detail. And there's quite a lot of things I want to share with you. So I thought, let's maybe perhaps wrap it up here to share with you on all these things. And if you do want to actually find out specifically all the tools that I've talked about today in this podcast, you can definitely visit on episode 23. And I'll have all the specific links to all those tools. And hopefully from there, you can pretty much get yourself up and running. Overall, I got to say, I didn't spend more than probably $300-400 in total when I first started on this video equipment, like the Kodak ZI-A, the lapel mic, the simple tripods and all that kind of stuff. But once you get a little bit more experienced and you want to upgrade your equipment, yeah, you'll probably be spending between $1,500 to about $2,000 or so. So there is that big price jump, but that's just because the video camera itself is a little bit more expensive. But essentially, if you had all the other components that I talked about, except for the video camera, you probably wouldn't spend more than $100 to $150 for all that extra equipment. And you get yourself up and running pretty quickly too. So it's a very inexpensive exercise with all the video equipment and tools to be able to get yourself up on videos. And I hope that this has helped everyone who's listening to this as well, because these has been one of the major questions that I've been receiving a lot from listeners like yourself and also from viewers from the blog. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to be able to share all these specific tools that I personally use, and I know a lot of people have used for any of the professional videos that they create. And I just thought, want to add one last thing as well. If you're doing this just for your video blog, or you're just doing this just for creating sales presentations, you might also want to consider doing this for businesses as well, because local businesses are really lacking in this kind of stuff, and you could really get out there with this kind of equipment and make some money on it, to be honest. I mean, I'm already doing it right now with local businesses that I work with, and that'd be something that you could consider doing as well. So I thought that's a little tip that you could do with all this equipment, because if it's just only used for yourself, it's great, but you could also make some money from this as well too. It's time for the Outsourcing Live Quick Tip. Recently, I've been deciding to upgrade my Outsourcing Live WordPress blog. And the reason behind that is because, one, I just wanted to make sure it loads faster. And secondly, I wanted to make sure it was search engine optimized or SEO'd properly. Even though in the last week when we've had the page rank update, I had a page rank of 2 to jumping up to page rank 4, which was amazing for me. And we've only had this blog or this website only for about 6 months. It's jumped dramatically in a short period of time. I still know that there's a lot of improvements that could be done. And hearing around the community, speaking to a lot of my friends and hearing what they had to say, they always kept recommending me to try out the Thesis theme, which is a Thesis WordPress theme located at outsourcinglive.com/thesis, spelled THEISIS. Yeah, something like that. So it's THESIS, sorry. And you can actually go and see there directly on that particular link that I've just provided for you. Don't worry, it's also down the show notes. So if you didn't get that, just go to the website and click on that to go there. Anyway, the reason why I wanted to share this with you is because personally, I'm going to be actually implementing this right now. My programmer or my developer is developing a new Thesis theme designed just for outsourcing live, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we should be going live, so you'll be able to see the changes and so forth. And really the whole main reason why I'm changing to a new theme is, one, to load it much faster. So therefore at the moment I think we're loading at about 6 or 7 seconds for the website. I want to get down to even faster than that. Two, I wanted to put more conversion type of tools on the site, e.g. like things like subscribe bars. I want to be able to put more of them on there and have the flexibility to be able to change it whenever I want as well. And that's what the Thesis themes allows you to do, is that in the back it's very, very customized and allows you to move things around, change columns, insert columns, and you don't need a programmer to do that. But if you are looking to get something that's very, very customized like I am, then definitely you'll need a programmer. But for the basic people, I'm recommending this for you because it's a very clean, simple, and very minimalistic theme. And you'll see that on even their website when you have a look. It's very nice and simply laid out. And it focuses very much on the text of the blog that you're writing on and also the website. So I recommend definitely checking this out today. And it's got a huge, huge advantage for SEO, which is search engine optimization. And what that means in your hands, if you have this installed on your website and you configure it correctly, it means that you'll be found on Google search engines much, much better and much faster and ranking much higher. So really that's one of the main reasons why I'm switching over, and also for its customization and ease of use. And long-term wise, it's a very, very well-supported community. You know, if you hop into the Thesis community, you'll get plenty of responses and people who'd be able to support you and help you. Now, apparently they're going to be upgrading or releasing version 2 very, very soon. And when that happens as well, this paid theme, I should have mentioned it's a paid theme, is going to go up in price. Currently, it's on the website. It's currently, for a personal option, it's $87. And on a developer's option is $164. Now, from what I gather, I think it's going to go up to around about $300. So it probably might double in the next few months or so, a couple of months. So I'd recommend, before it does increase in price, and you do really want to use this theme, which is, in my opinion, probably one of the cheapest themes, premium themes around, definitely get it before it does increase in price. And you can definitely check it out at outsourcinglive.com/thesis, THESIS. All right, that's pretty much for this one. Hopefully, if you enjoy this one, let me know and leave a comment down on the blog post as well. Now, if you like more resources like this one, you can find them inside Mass Outsource Mastermind, along with video tutorials and step-by-step instructions showing exactly how I use them. To get a 30-day, no-risk trial membership to Mass Outsource Mastermind, simply visit freevideoset.com. Until next time, I wish you success in your quest for outsourcing.